Hello, welcome to Soup to Nuts. Tonight we're coming to you from the farm, David and Sandy's house. We're excited because we get to use the oven tonight, because that's one thing we don't have at the studio. So we'll be doing some, I'll be doing a stuffed pork tenderloin with prosciutto, baby spinach, and some Munster cheese, and that will be done in the oven.
So are you making?
And, you'll be making, well, you tell them what you'll make. I never know anyway.
I'll be making some veal cacciatore, which I love very much. It's very simple to make, so I thought it'd be an appropriate time tonight to make it to go along with some of the nice homemade wine to be tasted tonight for the first time. So I'll begin by turning the oven on to high, adding some oil. And I'll add some of this, maybe half an onion. When that gets going, I'll be adding some celery and some carrots. Also some very nice little mushrooms I love very much. These are very small, so you can leave them as they are. Take the stem off if they're too long. These are just right. The small ones are just right. And once this gets going here, I'll add the celery and the carrots to get it just a little brown. And once that gets going, I just add the meat, some mushrooms, and I have some tomato and tomato paste. I got to add a little bit of this
Crushed red
crushed flakes. Give it a little tang to it, you know.
All right, well, that's getting soft. If we can get, I don't know if we can get a shot of the pork loin. It's a pork loin roast. It's probably about 4 pounds. You get it at any grocery store. You ask your butcher to cut it for you. What you want to do is get a sharp knife, and we're going to just cut it pretty much in half without cutting your hand. Put your hand on top so you don't cut your hand, and then you just want to fold it. Fold it open so it's almost like a butterfly there. And the first thing you want to do is always season it with some salt and pepper. You can never put too much salt on this pork. It'll absorb it up fairly quickly. So we got some salt, some cracked black pepper, then we start stuffing it. Like I said, it's prosciutto, baby spinach, and we have some Munster cheese. You can put really anything that you want. You can put regular ham in it if you like. I just happen to like prosciutto a lot. The first thing we're going to do is put some prosciutto, and ask the deli to cut it relatively thin. You don't want it too thick because it's chewy if it's thick. So you want it nice and thin. And you can put as much as you want. It doesn't really matter how you do it. Just lay it in there. I like to put a lot in there. Next step, baby spinach. You get it at the grocery store. It usually comes in a bag, or you can buy it in a bunch. You just wash it, and I try to pick some of the stems off if you can. And you lay that in. As much or as little as you want. The last step, Munster cheese. You can use mozzarella, shredded, whatever you like. I like the Munster. Sometimes as a change, as we always eat in mozzarella. And I also have here some fresh garlic that has been minced. I cut up. I like to rub that on the pork. Just put some inside, and the rest I will rub on the outside of the pork. Now you want to, when you fold it, you want to kind of maybe put the knife in there so that you can fold it and carefully pull it out so you don't cut your hand off. And just tuck it in as best as you can on the sides and on the seam here. And you want to ask your butcher for butcher's twine when you buy this. Ask him to give you some. He'll more than happy to give you some. Now I'm going to transfer this piece over to the ex-butcher himself. And my mother still sometimes calls him a butcher when he cooks, so we're going to let him tie it up.
While I'm doing this, watch that, get that around
Yeah,
a
but
bit.
just explain to them how you do it. I mean, it's not a...
Oh, I want to turn it this way.
Turn it that way for him.
What you first do is just get on the bottom and make a knot. Being Italian, I should be able to make a knot, no trouble. You get a finger there, Brian?
No, the one you cut off last
Yeah.
week, I gotta fix it.
And then you just make a knot. And you can do that again, and just cut that and do it again, but being a butcher, we used to, Brian referred to me as a butcher, you just make a half, and you just push it down like this. You turn that around for me.
Yep.
And you pull that, and do around again. Down we go.
You showing how you're looping it?
I'll show him after the next one. I'm so excited. You take it, and you loop it this way.
And loop it over.
Under we go.
Kind of keep them be neat too, right?
Oh, you gotta keep it
You
neat.
can separate them out. It looks professional.
You do it right there?
For the two most unprofessional chefs, it would make it look professional anyway, right?
Oh, look.
Why is this? Did you turn it off?
No, I didn't turn it on. Still cooking, right?
Yeah, it was just
What?
electric stove there. The burner was off.
How can it be off?
It wasn't red.
I'll do this here. You should be able to... I got my stiletto here. Is it on now?
Yeah.
All right, put underneath there for the last tie. And this is... Wow. Wow. There it
That's
is.
it. You want to cook it. If we can get it back over here now, if you can see it. Don't worry about if the stuff comes out a little bit. I like to try to even out the twine here so it at least looks pretty good. And stuff that in the best you can. Now what we do with this is season it again. Salt. I like to rub the salt. Rub it in a little bit. And do the other side. This is the bottom. You're going to cook the skin side up just like if you were doing a porchetta. So you get that nice brown skin on top. So that's the bottom there. A little black pepper on the top. And the last thing I put on here is little rosemary leaves, fresh. Well, not fresh. It would have been fresh, but we forgot those tonight. So we have some jarred ones, but these are fine. They're just dried. And when we come back, we'll show you how we're going to cook this. So you're going to cook it in a regular roasting pan with a rack, and you're going to put water in the bottom of it because you don't want it to dry out. And I also pour some white wine in the bottom to get the wine flavor through the pork. White wine goes well with pork. So you want to take a break right now? You want to wait?
No. Did you say earlier in the show that I be doing most of the talking?
Yeah.
I guess you're doing all the talking anyway.
Well, yours is almost done.
At this stage here, if you notice, I got these are simmered very nicely. And I'm just going to add some of this. I use Hunt's whole tomatoes that I put in the blender, just hit it so there's still pieces of, it's not puree, it's still pieces of tomato there. So you put that in there. Let that come to a boil, let it simmer. Now I'll be adding some tomato paste, just a little tomato paste to give it a little boil, a little color.
You don't add the paste right away?
I add a little later, once it comes to a boil, so the paste will dissolve right away, you know. But that's just about done there.
All right, I forgot to mention also that I'm making, to go along with the pork, we're making some shiitake mushroom risotto tonight. So I think before we take a break, I'll start just the beginning of it, because it really takes about 20 minutes to a half hour, so we can start it before we go to break.
Why don't you start that, and I can come back and have time to show my next recipe? I'm doing something else also.
Yeah, no, we'll take a quick break now, but I just want to get risotto. People, it's so easy to make and it's so good, and yet I don't think a lot of people make it because they think it takes a real lot of time, but it really doesn't. I'll show you how easy it is. You want to start with oil in the pan, soften up some onion. You want to get those translucent, nice and soft. We'll wait a minute for the stove to heat up. Once that gets going, the next step, what you do is you add, these are the shiitake mushrooms. If you probably know what they look like. You can use any type of mushroom. Sometimes I use portobello, the baby bellas, and chop them up. But this time I wanted to try the shiitake because I like how they look. So we're softening up these onions. And with these mushrooms, you just want to cut the caps off, the stem, I mean. Cut the stem off. And really chop them up any way you like, really. So, we got the onions on high. We trim those up. Throw those in with the rest. Okay, you got your onions. You don't want to burn them. You want to just keep them nice and
Translucent.
That's the word that everybody uses if you watch the cooking shows, the real cooking shows on TV.
Whatever that means, you can look through them.
Yeah, I don't know who's looking through the onions, but I guess if you can see through the bottom of the pan anyway. They look pretty soft, so now I'm going to add chopped shiitakes. Now you want to get those covered with oil. These don't get translucent, but you'll see they soften up and turn. They kind of shrink down a little bit too, which is nice.
I understand that.
So that next step is you just get those soft. I'll take a couple seconds here. If you need to add more oil, don't be afraid to add a little more oil. Right now, everything is nice and coated with oil.
Is this kitchen where your brother does all his cooking shows for the Ashland kids?
We'll get to that. He did a cooking show and poked a little fun at myself and my father, so we'll get him back tonight on that, I'm pretty sure.
Did you introduce me tonight?
No, but you didn't want me to use the word Oswald anymore, so that's why.
It's Valdo from now on.
But getting back to David, he made a little soup. I don't know if everybody's seen the show yet, but you'll eventually see it. He made a soup, and I think Nani, which is my grandmother, his mother, we got to talk to David. I think she'd be rolling in her grave if she saw the way he used he made the broth. I know Nani, even though you say he was your favorite, you didn't really teach him to cook much. I don't know what happened, but we'll teach him tonight. I mean, I understand he's pressed for time when he works those 2 24-hour days, and then he's got 5 off, so he's busy. I know he's very busy, and he can't make the broth. And he had to use a quick broth there, but someday when he wants to learn how to cook soup, you can go right next door to my father's house. All right, it's enough for him. He got enough for the show already. That's soft. What we do is we add the orzo. I use orzo. You can use, what's that rice called? Arborio?
Arborio.
Arborio. I don't like, that's too small. I like the orzo myself. And here I got just under 2 cups, probably 1 3/4 cups. And the key with this is you want to stir this in as best as you can and get it covered with oil. And what I usually do is always add a little bit more. Keep your heat on medium. add a little oil so that everything gets covered equally. So now that, I don't know if the camera can get a shot of, did that move you around for a minute? Camera can get a shot of it. It's just coated very nicely with oil. Now you want to season it. A little salt, a little pepper. And the heat's on high, on medium. Now the last thing you do, all you're going to do is, we have some homemade chicken broth, David, that we have here, that we boiled chicken bones with, that's how you make broth with the mirepoix. Now all you do is ladle in the broth, a little at a time, not too much, because what you want to do, you want the rice the orzo to absorb a little bit at a time. It's going to take you 20 minutes to a half hour to do this risotto. It's not something you can do 5-minute Uncle Ben's, like David does a lot. And while I'm going to keep my eye on that, just keep adding some broth. You want to take a quick break, or do you want to talk about those? Can we get
this? Which camera get that? You ready? Can you get that? This is what I'll be making when we come back. This is a very, very special recipe my daughter Susan made for us the other day. Zucchini that's stuffed with prosciutto and mozzarella cheese, dipped into some egg wash and some flour, and cooked 10 minutes into the pan. It's a very delicious side dish. It's a very delicious dish. When I come back, I'll show you how to do that.
All right, we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Right now, what we did is we cooked this ahead of time, all during the break. And it takes about 2.5 hours, depending, the weight was about 5.5 pounds. But what you definitely want to invest in is the thermometer, which, do you know where that went? One of these, it tells you right on it, pork, beef, everything, they're great. Pork is 170 degrees internal. So it took about 2.5 hours. You push it in, take it out of the oven, and just wait and see how high it goes. But it took about 2.5 hours, right?
About that.
So what we're going to do now is take
325.
350 we did to cook it. What we're going to do now is take it on here for now. We're going to move. It's not that hot. The rack isn't that hot. Excuse my back. Now we're going to let that sit before. What we're going to do with this gravy, though, is not as much the cheese that's on the bottom, but the drippings. When you put the rack on it, you have a nice gravy. And what you do is you use some white wine. The acid from the wine will break up the bottom of the drippings there. Use a plastic spatula, or spoon is the best, but we had to use a spatula today. I'm just trying to get all the cheese out of the way there. What I usually do is, which we didn't have tonight, I forgot them. Get one shallot and just cut it up fine. When you throw the shallot in after you deglaze with while you're deglazing, and then it gives it a nice flavor. If you want, you can try to skim some of this fat off, but
Not that much fat.
and you're not going to use that much. Now we're going to try
That's cool.
to pour this into a gravy. So like I said, the shallot would have been a nice little added feature there, but now we get the gravy.
But I think I gotta get going on mine.
Yeah, why don't you jump, because I'm going to let this pork cool. You always want to let it cool a little bit before you cut it, because everything the juices are going to run, and the cheese, you don't want that to happen, so we'll wait about 5 minutes.
So what I'm gonna do now is cut a zucchini up. When you cut a zucchini up in slices, it has a tendency to roll because it's round, right? So what I do, I take a little piece off, then lay it down, and she won't move. So I just cut some slices, probably about 1/4 inch. I do 2 of these. So And I take some prosciutto and lay it in there. And a piece of mozzarella cheese.
You want to put this on high?
Yeah, put it on so make a sandwich. You get that one. You do one more. And these are delicious. Cool or hot or room temperature.
Good for an appetizer. Cut them up, bite-sized pieces for
Very nice.
Super Bowl or
Be nice for Super Bowl, right?
hors d'oeuvres for a dinner party. It's nice. Especially in season when out of your garden, they'll be nice this year.
It's on now, Brian.
Yeah.
Have we got time for story tonight? No, I don't have any time.
Yeah.
It goes into the eggs first. Usually when we make our eggplant, we go flour, egg, and breadcrumb. This way is egg first. And egg. And some flour. It's a little slippery. And one.
If you want, couldn't you use a little breadcrumbs as well, too?
We could, but I think I'm going to do is
Just the flour?
cut it in half. And it's easier this way, see? I did the whole, well, there's some half and some whole. One more?
No, we add a little salt to them. You could have.
I get salt, pepper, and the...
You know what you do is you salt them right when they come out of the oil, because it'll suck right into it, salt. Don't be afraid to use the salt.
And that's on, right?
It's on high.
Okay. Once that gets going, I just turn it down to medium heat. 5 minutes on each side. And it's done.
All right, let me jump in.
Good.
Back to the risotto. We kept adding the broth in. Now you can see the starch coming out of it. Starts to get a little thick. It's about consistency of like that. So what I do at the end, and you do this at the end, it's on low right now. I take a little bit of butter, whole butter. Don't use margarine. Drop that right in. Mix it up. We do some grated Romano cheese. You can use Parmesan, but I was brought up always using
Pecorino
Pecorino Romano. That's what Nani always used. That goes in a little bit of fresh parsley for color that I chopped up. Turn the heat up a little bit. You want to mix that in, and I forgot one ingredient that I usually add in too is cream, just a touch at the end. Just a little bit of cream. The butter's melting nicely, and we'll show you what that looks like once we plate it up. I just want to get that melted a little bit. So that's it. You can always add more cheese to taste at the end. Now we're going to the pork. You want to cut the butcher's twine out, obviously. You don't want to eat that. Use a nice sharp knife. And now we just pull. Try not to pull all the skin off, but that might happen. So we're pulling this off. Really, if you tie it, what we should have did next time is when you tie it, have the bottom of the twine on it so that when you pull it off, you don't rip the skin off, which we didn't do on this time, but next time we will. Okay, so that looks like all the twine's off. Let me get that out of the way. Dad, can you get that platter over there? Now we're going to make the slice. So as you can see in the middle,
Looks nice.
looks nice and pink. It's
Cooked.
not dry.
No.
Cooked. It's cooked right to perfection because you don't want it to be too dry. And the way we plate this up is the end piece we'll leave off.
Put it over there.
Put this over here.
Before you got it.
So that's the pork. Now I need the plate for that risotto one. And you take the little bit of that gravy and you can drizzle it right over. Risotto, I never really tried at the end there. Pretty good. A little liquidy. I'm gonna let it stiffen up a little bit. It's all that butter I put in. And while we're doing that, why don't you pick up where you left off there?
You know, so when I first started with this, it's probably reduced, not quite half, but it's been cooking about 45. It takes about an hour to cook. This, maybe, not quite. About 5 minutes on each side. Nice brown color to it. Very delicious. I can't wait to sit down and eat this. You know, I don't have time to tell a story. I usually tell stories, but I've been so busy, I don't know if I have time. Get time? Growing up, I was about 35 years old, 36, 37. I had 6, 7, I don't know how many children I had, maybe half a dozen children. And I felt I wasn't going anywhere. I felt bad. I said, look, everybody's getting ahead. They get all kinds of money and all that. I was doing a job for a friend of mine, a businessman, that occasionally I would do some electrical work for him. I used to visit him on a Sunday with my 6, 7 children over there. And he'd always had people working in this building where he was stationed on Sunday mornings. When I walked in, he said, "There's my rich cousin from Ashland, Aussie." Each time I went in there, he said, "This is my rich cousin from Ashland, Aussie." So one day he invited us over to the house for supper. And this man was a very wealthy man, no children. I says, by the way, I said, you keep calling me the rich cousin from Ashland. I said, you're the fellow who got all the money. Would you sell me David for $1 million? Some people say yes. They're shaking their head yes here? No. He said, there's $1 million right there. Would you sell me Christopher for $1 million? No, that's $2 million. He went through all the names of my children. At the time, maybe 6, 7, I forget how many I had. He says, you are the rich man from Ashland, he says. I have money, but you are the rich man. From that point on, it changed my whole life. I'm happy with what I have. I'm happy with my $12 million that I have today and my 26 other $1 million that my grandchildren. I consider myself one of the wealthiest men in Medway, formerly from Ashland.
All right.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm just going to plate this up. Still a little gooey. Not gonna
Yeah.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to get it thicken up a little. Still a little. It's going to have soup all over the place.
That's good, huh? You ought to put a little soup, you see.
No, I don't want it too soupy.
I could cook a little more.
Cheese.
Put some more cheese in it.
Put a little cheese and pepper on it.
It's nice doing a show here in Ashland because,
Medway.
I mean Medway, because it's been 50 years in Ashland. I still can't get Ashland out of my mind, but we're here in Medway now, almost 3 years. It's beautiful here on the farm with the grandchildren, Haley and Tyler and Tony, with the horses and the chickens, and I said Haley, with the chickens and all the goats, and and we walk out there, and it's just like being in heaven. Okay, well, we do visit Ashland every so often. We have many friends out there. Well, this
Okay.
is going good.
Plated that up. The only thing I'm going to do is a little parsley to garnish it. little parsley, just always add a little more cheese.
Take a break and show the finish. We got time to show all the finished product. We all done.
I'm done, you?
I'm all done. I'm ready to eat. One thing I gotta say is, this is probably the first show. I probably said about 15 words tonight. I'd rather have it that way. I like Brian to speak. People are the first few shows we did were saying, why don't you give Brian a chance to talk? Well, he's finally learned how to talk.
Because we get the oven tonight. The oven was
Good job.
the oven was the kicker. Now
Yeah,
we can get in the oven, which is nice. We're gonna try to get an oven down at the studio if we can. But anyway, looks like we're all wrapped up here. You got anything to plate? You want to just plate that cacciatore real quick?
Yeah, I could do that.
We're gonna wrap it up quick.
I think we should be done. There it is.
Yeah,
Off.
a little parsley on the top, and that'll do it. Thanks for watching Soup to Nuts. Thanks for the crew. Thanks for David and Sandy for letting us use their house.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time on Soup to Nuts. And make sure that you watch the official woodworking show of Soup to Nuts
Yes.
on Channel 8.
Yeah, Channel 8.
The Furniture Workshop with my man, Jim Thompson, which I see jogging by my house all the time, and pretty soon I'm going to get out there and join him because somebody said that I started to put a little weight on. I don't know who it was. I think it was David.
I think it was your son.
And actually, I ran into a woman the other day who said to me, geez, you look a lot thinner in person. So I thought that was pretty funny. But anyway, I know she watches and appreciate her for watching. So we'll see you next time.
Arrivederci.